The San Diego Gulls season has already begun, and are the Gulls already in trouble? Uh-oh. We'll talk about all of that on this edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Here we go. Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for well over a decade. And guess what? Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase from Gametime. So this was intended to be on a Thursday episode, but since I stayed at the arena for a little bit longer, it's going to be an early Friday show, and there will be a late Friday, early Saturday show because the Ducks are playing in Colorado. So there will be an additional episode this week since there are other games going on in the weekend, and I don't want to cram a bunch of games. So we're going to have that over the weekend. In the meantime, Gulls off to a slow start again, but hey, at least they're getting it over with now. And at least help could be on the way soon. That will be later in the podcast. But now let's talk about kind of, not my takeaway, but just kind of my overall general feelings on this. The Gulls are off to a slow start again. They are 0-2 to begin the season. 2 losses in Toronto, the first time in Toronto that they've ever played. The Gulls, by the way, have kind of a weird schedule in that they're playing a lot more out-of-division teams than pretty much everyone else in the Pacific Division, which is kind of cool. It is cool to see teams like the Chicago Wolves. It's going to be really cool to see the Toronto Marlies come into town. Actually, that'll be really fun. I am looking forward to seeing Toronto come to town because we've never seen Toronto here. I mean, I've seen Toronto play, but not in the West Coast. Who else is there this season? I think there's Chicago, Iowa's coming to town. I feel like there's a team that I'm forgetting. I feel like it. Actually, no, not Chicago. Chicago's going to a different place. So here it's just Toronto and Iowa coming to town. But my overall takeaway is the Gulls are having the same issues the Ducks are. One of those issues is the power play or lack of a power play, in that they've scored none. Except this power play might look worse than the Ducks. The Ducks at least have a little bit of movement, and they've got some quality shots on net. The Gulls, there were times where they were very lackadaisical with the puck, where they were not doing a lot of movement. And unfortunately, this is kind of the same thing that plagued them last season, where they would have the puck go around the horn, get nothing on net, or get one perimeter shot on net, and that is it. Unfortunately, they are kind of falling into that same pattern and that same trap that they fell into last season. That's not what you're supposed to do. Again, and I'm going to say this, like I said last time, small sample size. It is 2 games, and Toronto is a good team. Toronto is expected to be a very good playoff team this coming season. But so far, their power play is a not-so-good 0-for-5 to start off the season. Again, small sample size. Penalty killing is even worse. Their PK, they've allowed 3 power play goals on 5 power play chances. That is a 40% penalty kill percentage and a 0% power play. This is not good. This is really not good for the Gulls to start off the season by having a 40% combined power play and penalty killing. That never leads to success. And in fact, I would say special teams is the main reason that the Gulls are 0-2 so far this season. Allowing 2 power play goals in one game and one another game, which ultimately did make the difference in this game. Yeah, that was a difference in the first game, was a power play goal. Second game, 2 power play goals. That was a difference. And only 1 penalty for the Gulls, and they just got burned on that one. But as far as power play goes, they've got to get some different personnel or possibly mix up those special teams lines just a little bit because it is not working out at all. If you really want to feel a little bit saucy, maybe change around Ryan Carpenter on the power play. Maybe change around Sam Colangelo on the power play. Yeah, Colangelo did look pretty decent, but maybe switch it around a little bit. Well, I will say this. They will be without Jansen Harkins. Oh, by the way, Jansen Harkins did get called up to the Anaheim Ducks. He's replacing Frank Vatrano on the Ducks roster. So Jansen Harkins, who, by the way, scored a goal for San Diego over the weekend, he will not be in San Diego for opening night at Pechanga Arena. So that's already -1 player right there. Not good already. But that means I could maybe switch her on the power play, but really just completely mess around with it. Change Regenda's position on the power play. What's happening there already is not working at all. I know you've got some aggressive shot players right there. I know that. But mix them up. Mix them up. Who's going to be on defense on the power play? Who's actually good on power play on defense? We're not seeing it so far. We're really not. Sidorov, I'm okay with Sidorov on the power play. In fact, I want to see more of Sidorov on the power play. Him, I liked on there. Sam Colangelo, maybe put some different personnel around him, and the same with Sidorov as well. In fact, I would have those two, like, maybe different positioning. Maybe put one of them up, one of them down, or have a different bumper spot for either of those guys. So that's what I'm observing so far as the power play. Yeah, I know it's only 2 games. I know. I'm trying to like figure out a way that the Gulls can actually win some games because they don't have an easy schedule coming up. Now, I will point out that I said slow start again. Now, last season, the Gulls did win their first 2 games of the season against the Ontario Reign and then promptly lost 13 games in a row. So they got off to a 2-13 start last season. They're already 0-2 this season, and it's not looking much better because they've got Coachella Valley to open up the season at Pechanga Arena. Yeah, the Firebirds, who are also 0-2, but they've been goalied a little bit. The Firebirds are looking to get their first win of the season. I don't think the Firebirds want to go start the season 0-3. They really don't. So San Diego's really got their work cut out for them on their home opener. And then they have a nice long road trip after that. They're going to be at Bakersfield on Saturday night. Then they're going to be up in Abbotsford for a couple of games, then up in Calgary for a couple of games. So they got a Canadian road trip, and they're getting this one out of the way very early in the season. The big road trip, that is. So that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Abbotsford is still pretty good. Calgary is pretty much a 2-man wrecking crew right now. So we'll see what happens with the Wranglers come October 29th and Halloween night. So that's what's coming up. Hopefully they can rectify their power play even just a little bit. Maybe fix that a little. All right, we're going to head to the first intermission. I'm going to talk much, much more in detail about these 2 games against the Toronto Marlies. And then I'll talk about some possible reinforcements. We will get to all of that on the other side. And now a brief word from FanDuel. And folks, FanDuel is the #1 sportsbook and also the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. You can use FanDuel for all kinds of awesome stuff. It is the baseball playoffs, MLB getting really hot. Who's going to make the World Series? Who's it going to be between the Dodgers and the Mets, the Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians? Who's going to come out on top? And of course, you have NFL, but you also have the beginning of the NBA and NHL seasons. So there's a lot of action you could find on FanDuel. You could have a big return. And you could check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with Jason Hernandez, talking about the San Diego Gulls. Our weekly Goals look is back this season. It's intended to be Goals Thursday, so we're going to try to get Goals Thursday out on Thursday morning as often as possible, pending Wednesday night games at Acrisure Arena. So that's what's going to be coming up this season. I'm going to try to get as many guests as possible for Goals Thursday, so also be on the lookout for that. Let's talk about those two games in Toronto against the Marlies. Didn't look good. I'm going to start with that first game. Now, I did actually have to go back and get some help to watch both of these games. Video quality, not the best. I'm not going to go into a Flow TV or Flow Hockey rant today. But I am going to talk about Nikita Nesterenko. He got off to a flying start. Super good start. He scored in the first minute of game 1 of the season. And immediately, I'll admit, I thought, oh, here we go. They're on fire. They scored in the first minute. This is a different team. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I had that optimism. I really did. I thought this was going to be the turnaround and they were going to come out and score another one and another one because they got that first one in the first minute and they had such a freaking hot start. They outshot Toronto 8-4 in that first period. I really thought Toronto was going to look just, ugh. And then the second period happened. And Toronto just completely outplayed San Diego in every aspect of the game. Power play, penalty kill. Goals got just outplayed. They did get outworked. That's what I did not like about that second period, is the fact that they seemed to slow down a little bit, and there were even a couple of shifts where it seemed like they just kind of lackadaisically put the puck into their own zone, or they would just do a dump and chase, or dump and change rather. They wouldn't even chase. They would dump it in and change their lines. That's not conducive to winning hockey. I've always hated it. So that was kind of my observation in the second period of that first game, where Toronto scored 3 times. 3 times. The Gulls had 2 power play opportunities in that first game and really squandered both of them. They did. There was hardly any action there. I think what made that first power play in the second period even worse, I mean, there was a lot of reasons why it was bad, but what made it so bad was that there was only one quality shot, and immediately after the power play lapsed, Toronto took the puck and, who's out of the box? Oh, Ryan Tverberg came out of the box, and it was a nice outlet pass to Ryan right out of the box, and he passed it right to Jacob Quillen to score the goal on the not-so-power play. It doesn't count as a power play goal for anybody. It doesn't count as a shorthanded, but it may as well have. So that made it a 1-1 tie at the time. That was a bad one, folks. You've got to guard the box, and you've got to be aware of the player coming out of the box, and there was just not as much awareness as one would like. So that was the one that kind of got me from 0 to ticked off really quickly. Oh, but we weren't done yet. We weren't. Because the same... I'm not going to curse, but the same effing thing happened later on another Gulls power play. I kid you not. Same thing. Marshall Riffai got nailed for tripping. He's in the box for 2 minutes. And then just as he leaves the box, Alex Nylander with a nifty, another just long pass to the guy leaving the box. And Riffai scores. And that made it 2-1 Toronto. Oh, but Toronto did actually score on a power play later. Nathan Gauthier got nailed for tripping. The Gulls' only penalty of the game. And Roni Hirvonen scored. And it's 3-1 Toronto. 3-1 off of 3 horrible special teams plays. Just horrible. First off, how can you let that happen not once but twice? The guy leaving the box and you let him get the outlet pass. You don't try to block it. You don't try to forecheck. Don't try to back check. Nothing. And letting that happen. Oh, it did get me upset watching that. It legit did. And immediately 3-1, I thought, okay, maybe this isn't their year. But hold on. Start of the third period. Carson Myers scored, and then Jansen Harkins scored the game-tying goal with about 5 minutes left. And then just when I thought it was going to go into overtime with little less than 2 minutes left. Nick Abruzzese, I remember him. He scores the game-winning goal, and that's all she wrote. Toronto won that first game. A very frustrating first game for San Diego. Toronto wins it 4-3. Yeah, if you watch that game, like, let me know, did you actually watch that game? And if you did, what did you think of those 2 outlet goals on the guys leaving the box? I mean, are you as ticked off as I am about that? I mean, maybe I'm irrationally ticked off, but dude, guard the box. Oh, but it got worse in game 2. By the way, game 1 in net was Oskar Dansk, who looked decent. Yeah, he looked okay. Allowed 4 goals on 30 shots. Okay, fine, whatever. But that second game, it was pretty much all Toronto after the middle of the second period. Tyson Hines did score the only goal for San Diego, making it 1-0, and Jansen Harkins did get the assist. Sam Colangelo got an assist. And then Rodwin Dionisio had a bad cross-checking penalty, and that was pretty much it. And that was the start of San Diego committing some not-so-great penalties, because he had a cross-check, he had a slash, and a slash once again. Noah Warren with a not-good penalty there either. Sadorov's was worse. And you allowed 2 power play goals. That is not how you win games. Special teams struck once again in a not-so-good way. By the way, at least Toronto didn't score on a guy leaving the box this time. So, for that. But still 2 for 4 on the power play for Toronto. Not a good look for the Gulls, as they just continue to let that happen again and again. Again, 3 power play goals in 5 tries for Toronto. Alex Nylander scored for Toronto. Then he scored again in the power play. 2 power play goals. 2 of them for Alex Nylander. Then Ronnie Hirvonen scores his second of the season, kind of building on the previous game. And then Alex Steeves scored an empty netter to make it 4-1. That was your final score. Now, I will say, Calle Clang looked okay in this game. I'm not going to put this loss on Calle Clang at all. In fact, the previous game, I'm not going to put on Oskar Dansk at all. The goalies did what they had to do. They did. It's not their fault that they were getting some bad shots on them. It's not their fault that they had some poor defense and some especially poor penalty killing in front of them. Not their fault at all. So I will give credit to Oskar Dansk and a lot of credit to Calle Clang, who really stuck by it, allowed 3 goals on 26 shots. Artur Akimov allowed only 1 goal on 38 shots for Toronto. Yeah, you heard that right. San Diego outshot Toronto 38-27 in this game. Were they high-quality shots? I mean, some of them were high-quality shots. I'll give credit. But you know, you take a couple of shots beyond the blue line, you have a bunch of shots on the blue line, or really bad angle shots, you're not going to make many of those. I would say, as far as like shots in the home plate area, there could have been more for San Diego, and there wasn't. So that's still going to be a bit of an issue for San Diego moving forward. They've got to get better shot attempts and more high quality danger or high danger chances in the home plate area. That's something that they've got to rectify before beginning this long road trip after the 1 home game against the Firebirds. All right, we're going to head into the second intermission, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some reinforcements possibly coming back on the other side. And now a brief word from the Gametime app. And folks, if you haven't used Gametime before, then what are you waiting for? I've said this several times. Gametime is the one-stop shop where you can get all your tickets to all your favorite concerts, events, and especially sporting events. If you're in the SoCal area, you can get some tickets to the Dodgers in the World Series. Yes, as I'm recording this, they're up 3-1 in their series. So you could check out the Dodgers. Or you could also check out, maybe the Anaheim Ducks. Or if you're a fan of the other team, the Los Angeles Kings, you could check out the Chargers, the Rams, the Lakers, the Clippers in their brand new arena, by the way. Because you can also check out all those tickets with Gametime Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals so you can get great seats and not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I've used Gametime several times before, especially for Angels games because they're like a couple of bucks on Gametime. Bada boom, bada bing, buy my ticket, get in, 2 touches, that's all it takes. So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time! Whew! We're also brought to you by PrizePicks. See how I roll my P's there? But go to PrizePicks, because that is a fantastic daily fantasy app where you can just pick more or less and win up to 100 times your cash. And you could run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. And you know what? You think that maybe, I don't know, Shohei Ohtani is going to get another home run. What's going to happen with, I don't know, Mookie Betts? Well, he hit a home run. Maybe Kike Hernandez will stay hot on the baseball side, or maybe on the hockey side. Maybe you're going to see another Troy Terry goal. Maybe you're going to see another Trevor Zegras point. All of that action is available on PrizePicks. So download PrizePicks today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, PrizePicks. Run your game. Welcome back to Locked On Gulls. Yeah, it's Locked On Gulls. We're talking all about San Diego Gulls. Once again, you're locked in with Jason Hernandez. And let's talk about reinforcements. Could they come soon? The reason I say that is because even though Frank Vatrano just went on the injured reserve, it is, as of right now, I haven't got a whole lot of information about what's going on with Frank right now. Once again, he is on the injured reserve. I haven't seen any reports that it's something really serious right now. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. This could be a short stint, just like from the little rumblings that I'm seeing. Actually, it's not even an IR stint. It is a non-roster list is what's happening right now with Frank Vatrano. And that is why Jansen Harkins is going to be in the lineup. Actually, this just came through. Frank Vatrano has been designated a non-roster player. Good news. Due to the expected birth of his child. So this is going to be his second child, and the second time that he's going to miss action because of that. So, you know what? We've got to say congratulations once again to Frank Vatrano, birth of a second child. So congratulations. So that means that Jansen Harkins won't be up for too long in Anaheim. He's expected to make his Ducks debut against the Colorado Avalanche. So good for Jansen Harkins. Official Ducks debut. Good for him. So now that we know that Frankie's going to be out for only like a game or two, that means Harkins is going to come back. Oh, but wait, what else? Oh, right. Jackson Lacombe. He could come back as well. As far as Jackson Lacombe is concerned, he's been out with an illness. Now, he did practice with the team. He did take part in morning skate the last couple of days. He's not going to be in the lineup yet, but he is expected to be in the lineup very soon. Once Jackson Lacombe comes back, there is going to be an odd man out as far as defense is concerned. So somebody's going to come to San Diego. Someone is. Who could it be? Could it be Zellweger? Could it be Leno? Who knows? But one of those guys coming down to San Diego will be nothing but a good thing, because at least one of those guys will get a ton of playing time in San Diego, easily be a top D pairing with the Gulls. So that's going to help. But what's really going to help is the return of John Gibson. So I'm starting to see some rumblings that John Gibson should be back in the next week or two. So I don't know if I believe those rumblings, but again, he was supposed to be out 3 to 6 weeks because of an emergency appendectomy. It has been about 3.5 weeks since that happened. So Gibby's going to come back probably after the road trip. So as far as reinforcements are concerned, could the Gulls possibly see another veteran? Could they have possibly James Reimer on San Diego? Not that Oscar Dance looked bad. Or maybe one of those guys, maybe he'll get waived. Maybe Reimer will get waived and it'll just be Callie Klang and Oscar Dansk for the rest of the season. Not much you could do about that. But maybe if Reimer gets past waivers somehow, then why not put him as a backup with Callie Klang? No offense to Oscar Dansk, but Oscar Dansk was signed solely because of Tomas Sukanik being out for the season. That was the main reason for that signing for Oscar Dansk. Maybe have a 3 goalie rotation. Maybe have Reimer, Klang, and Dansk as your 3 goalies. And one of them will always sit out. I know it's not ideal for that player, but considering the Gulls' slow start right now, try anything. Try something different. So those are the possible reinforcements coming soon. Again, not going to make any guarantees on this. Don't take this as gospel, but take this as the Gulls do need some help pretty soon, and they could possibly get it as soon as maybe next week for the road trip. Maybe. Actually, I would expect Jansen Harkins to be with the team when they have their Canadian road trip. So they are playing once again at home against Coachella Valley, then at Bakersfield. They will drive back home after that. Then they'll fly out middle of next week to go to Abbotsford and Calgary. So in the midst of that road trip, actually, I expect Harkins to be back for that whole road trip, at least. So there you go. All right, that's going to do it for this podcast for Locked On Gulls. We will be back with another episode late Friday, early Saturday, as the Anaheim Ducks take on the Colorado Avalanche. So that is taking place Friday night. In the meantime, I want to thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right down there. Yeah, subscribe. Hopefully Rainbow's up. And you could, check out all the episodes and not miss an episode when one gets uploaded. So make sure to subscribe and make sure to like and all that jazz. You can follow me on Twitter X at StimpyJD. Comme ça. There it is. And you can follow me on also Twitter X. Show's Twitter is LO_Ducks. You could email me your questions at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. Once again, lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And I got some good questions last time. So once again, thank you all for the questions. I'll do another mailbag at some point soon. Don't know when, but some point soon. And once again, just as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much for your continued support. It is extremely appreciated. For Locked On Gulls, I'm Jason Hernandez saying have a great rest of the day. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be kind to one another. Please be kind to yourselves. And Ducks and Gulls fly together. Caw, caw, caw.